Cast your vision here, in the middle of this moment, the turning of the new year, the turning of what has been a deeply challenging year into an unknown year, hopefully with new potential and new possibilities. This life with so much worth saving, this fragile faith. Cast your vision here for the children born now into the world as it is, with the threat of war and whole continents burning still, while the memory lingers of holidays, chaotic and miraculous, into this day. Offer the vision you've tried to talk yourself down from, your wildest dream, your audacious aims, the beauty that whispers to you to follow and build and become. For this world coming undone by distraction, greed, fear, this world divided by made-up borders, divided by fake fights, and all that needs forgiveness. Here, stir up your steadfast hope, your resolute clarity of what remains possible. Be generous with your dreaming and audacious and brave. All paths to the future are born in the courage of imagination. They're born in this willingness to shed, to salvage, to start again, to be this blessing for each other, to be this blessed. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. My name is Karen Elliott. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the worship associate for today's service. This is a welcoming congregation, and we are always working on how to welcome and care for one another better. If this is your first time here, we're so glad you've come. Whoever you are, we welcome you in the fullness of who you are. Please take a moment to prepare yourself and your space for our time together this morning. If you have a candle and a way to light it, you might get it to join in the chalice lighting from home. Now, Whether you are lighting a candle or the inner chalice of your heart, let us kindle our flames with the words of the late Reverend Orlando Brugnola, who was ordained at our church in 1979. Flame, friend of our most ancient ancestors, we kindle you now to make you visible in this time. Yet in truth, you burn always, in the unique worth of each person, in the imagination, in the turning of the heart to sorrow or joy, in the call to hope and in the call to justice. Burn bright before us, burn bright within us. I now invite you to share in the comments where you are by writing, "I carry the flame in," whatever town or city you are joining us from today. And now, please join us in singing our opening song, "When Our Heart is in a Holy Place." The words will be on screen.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell a story from deep inside, and we listen with a lovely mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of secret space, and the love of stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Please join me in saying our covenant. Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose. To give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another.
Happy New Year! I am the Reverend Catherine Boyle. My pronouns are she, hers, hers, and this is the time for all ages. Impossible? That's impossible. Well, everyone, we did it! We made it! It's a brand new year. A new page, a new chapter, a new book. Maybe I need a new metaphor. And that's okay, because my imagination will help me through and think of new ways of doing and being. Though, after last year, new ways of doing and being, new ways of existing, new ways of being a person, that seems impossible. Or does it? Alice, of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, the classic novels, is the story of a girl who is thrust into a fantastic world where she meets angry queens, mazes upon mazes, and a not-so-punctual rabbit. She also had mad tea parties, weird monsters, and on top of all of that, she is homesick. She misses her family and really wants to find her way back home. But from such a weird place, such an alien land as Wonderland, is that even possible? Sounds impossible. Well, let's hear it from the story itself. This is an excerpt from Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Oh, it is so very lonely here, Alice said in a melancholy voice, and at the thought of her loneliness, 2 large tears came rolling down her cheeks. Oh, don't go on like that, cried the poor queen, wringing her hands in despair. Consider what a great girl you are. Consider what a long way you have come to today. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider anything, only don't cry. Now, Alice, she could not help but laugh at this, even in the midst of her tears. Can you even keep from crying by considering things? She asked. Oh, that's the way it's done, the queen said with great decision. No one can consider 2 things at once, you know, my girl. Let us consider your age to begin with. Now, how old are you? I'm 7.5 exactly. Oh, you needn't say exactly, the queen remarked. I can believe it without it. Now, I'll give you something to believe. I am just 101, 5 months, and a day. I can't believe that, said Alice. Can't you? The queen said in a pitying voice. Try again. Take a long breath and shut your eyes. Alice laughed. There's no use in trying, she said. One can't believe in impossible things. I dare say you haven't had much practice, said the queen. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Well, sometimes I've even believed as many as 6 impossible things all before breakfast. So, this year, when you think you can't, just remember the queen's words. Things at first can seem impossible, my friend, but believe in yourself. Believe in your friends, believe in your loved ones, and with the help of time, hope, and, of course, imagination, the impossible becomes the possible, like building the beloved community on Earth and saving Mother Earth. My dear friends, I hope whatever impossibilities you decide to make possible this year bring you happiness and joy. Happy New Year.
Hello. The question before us today is, what do we need to let go of as we move into this new year? Grudges? Give up grudges? Is that what I heard somebody say? Oh no, I don't know about that. Now, there are all kinds of grudges, all kinds of levels, and some of them we do need to give up, like the ones that might burn a hole in our soul, or the ones that, majorly disrupt or destroy our relationships with one another, yeah, we'll toss those. But those aren't the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about all those others. I think you know what I mean. So for me, a grudge happens when I've been mightily insulted, offended by someone. And I have this upsurge of anger and bitterness and feelings of ill will towards this person. And then I replay the incident and those feelings over and over again, and they become kind of part of me. Well, I know that doesn't sound very good, but there really is some usefulness, some utility to carrying a grudge. So let me tell you more about that. First of all, it provides protection from being harmed again. It's kind of like living in this nice, sturdy wooden house, right? Solid, alarm system, protection, protection, protection. That's what having a grudge is for. The other usefulness of a grudge is that it helps us punish the person who hurt us. One of the ways to do that is to freeze them out. Now, I'm not as good at this as I used to be, but I'm still pretty good. So it would work kind of like this. When my sister would be mean to me, which happened, I could just pretend like she wasn't there. I would not talk to her for days, many days, a week. Now, it's kind of a family tradition in my family to hold grudges, and some of us have held them for months, years, and even decades. Another way of punishing the person who hurt you is to use nonverbal language to show your displeasure. That way you don't have to say anything and you don't have to take responsibility for saying the wrong thing. You can just transmit your feelings out through your nonverbal posturing. Now, I'm also very good at this. Watch. Pretty good, huh? Did you feel my displeasure? Did you feel my disgust? Yeah, it does work. Now, there's one other thing we need to talk about as far as grudges are concerned. And it's this. The thing about grudges is that it makes me feel kind of boxed in. And during this time of COVID-19, do we really need to feel more boxed in than we already are? Probably not. So what am I really protecting in here? Well, it's a hurt heart. It's a scratched heart. It's a dented and a dinged heart. And I've become so good at holding so many grudges for so long that I've actually kind of built an emotional callus around my heart, I think. And what that does is that it keeps me from experiencing my heart as much and keeps other people from experiencing my heart too. And from experiencing that soft, more essential part of me. So, do you see it? Do you see my scratched heart? That wasn't so hard to do. It didn't hurt very much. I guess I haven't been giving my heart enough credit to be tough. What do you think? Happy New Year, dear friends.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
We now enter the time in our service that we make for our hearts and our spirits, for our cares and concerns for one another and for ourselves. We lift up and hold the joys, the sorrows, the cares, the concerns, the challenges, the burdens, the griefs that we may each be facing. During our time of silence this morning, I invite you to share any joys or sorrows or significant milestones of your own in the comments section. I invite us all to hold these cares within our hearts and our embraces, to hold these cares in the compassion of this loving community. I invite you to join now in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love, holy mystery that holds and beckons us all. How do we pray for hope? How do we bow down or look up, or sit in silence, or walk among the trees to make hope come alive when it feels so far beyond our grasp? We breathe, we look within, we listen. We reach out. We know in the depths of our hearts that knowing hope is a gift we cannot destroy. Hope is a gift, the heartbeat always stirring within us. It is the imagination awakening us to possibility. It is the unfolding of faith and action. May we hold on to hope and carry it for one another, and carry it for this broken and hurting world. May we be vessels of comfort and compassion. May we be vessels of peace and justice. May we be vessels of hope and healing. May love prevail. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen. Now let us join in singing Meditation on Breathing.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2021. To start us off as we start down this journey of the new year, I have a little story for us and then some thoughts, just to help to whet our imaginations and help us as we're going forward into the possibilities of the year. And so here it is, the story of Grudgeville. In a land far away, a wise old man who knew a great deal about people because he traveled from place to place, arrived at a strange village. In this town, all the people were carrying what seemed to be great bundles on their backs. They couldn't look around very well and never looked up because of these heavy burdens. Puzzled, he stopped a young man. "My good sir, I'm a stranger to your land, and I'm fascinated by these large bundles you all carry and never seem to put down. What is their purpose? Oh, these? There are grudges." "My, that's a lot of grudges to collect at your age." "Oh," said the young man, "they're not all mine. Most of them were passed down in my family. See that man over there? I have quite a lot of grudges against his family. You see, his great-great-grandfather called my great-great-grandfather a thief when they both wanted to be elected mayor." The wise old man looked around and shook his head. "You all look so unhappy. Isn't there a way to get rid of these burdens?" "Oh, we've forgotten how. You see, at first we were proud of our grudges. Tourists came from miles around. But after a few years, Grudgeville became a rather dreary place. Nobody came, and we've forgotten how to stop holding all of our grudges." "If you really want to get rid of these grudges," said the wise man, "I think I know 5 magic words that'll do the trick." "You do? That would be a miracle. I'll go and have the mayor call the people of Grudgeville together." And off he went, well, as fast as his grudges would let him. The mayor, also carrying his own plenty big bag of grudges, lost no time in calling everyone to the village square. The mayor and the visitor stood on a platform where they could all see the hunched-over, burdened villagers. When everyone had quieted down, the mayor said, "Good people of Grudgeville, a wonderful thing has happened. A very wise stranger has come to our town. He says he can tell us magic words that'll rid us of these grudges we have carried for generations." How many of us would like to be able to straighten up and have our grudges disappear and look at the world in a new way? So let's listen to this visitor and what he tells us. "My friends," said the wise visitor, "these are simple words, yet some people, well, rather many people, find them hard to say. I think you have the courage to speak them. The trick is you must say them to each other and truly mean them. The first two words are, 'I'm sorry.' The other three are, 'I forgive you.' Try it out. Say these words to each other." There was a long pause, then a low grumble from the townspeople. They knew what these words meant. First one person, then another said the words. Soon they were all saying them to each other, quietly at first, then louder. And then, would you believe it, just like he had predicted, the grudges disappeared. What joy there was! People were saying, "Look how these trees have grown. Is that you, Jim? How good it is to see your face." There was dancing in the streets, and it wasn't long before the mayor changed the name of the town to Joytown. Now, this is a cutesy little story, but there's a lot of truth packed in there. The heavy packed sacks of grudges that were being carried around. How folks couldn't really look up and around at each other because of the burdens. How difficult it was to say those 5 magic words, but how freeing the apologies and forgivenesses were, and what a difference they made. And also, little tidbit in there, how grudges can be passed down from generation to generation. It reminds me of another story, but this one real life. Well, real life and metaphor at the same time. Forgiveness, yes, that big magic word, is usually a primary topic at Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement, which marks the end of the High Holy Days each year. At one Yom Kippur service I attended, the rabbi told of another High Holy Day service that she had witnessed. The congregation entered the service and the worship space to find a huge pile of potatoes at the center of their space of worship. During the service, each person was invited to take a plastic bag and put potatoes into it. They weren't told why. They were invited to put one for each thing that they had not or were not able to forgive. Big things, small things, anything at all that they were holding on to. Don't worry how many potatoes other people put into their bags, they were told. Just think about your own bag and what should go into it. Then, upon finishing packing their bags, they were instructed to carry these bags with them everywhere until the next service in 10 days. To carry them to work, in the car, the dinner table, in the shower, everywhere. Now, I have to say, I'm glad it was just a story in the service I went to and not the actual experience. When the members of that congregation brought their bags back after 10 days in all of their heavy and rather stinky glory, I can only imagine how relieved they were to be rid of them. What weights they had been carrying. The potatoes were tangible reminders of the weights of past experiences they were holding. And their rotting and stinkiness, think about the showers and the wet potatoes, are metaphors for the resentment and bitterness that they can grow into over time. What would your sack of potatoes look like if you were to fill one today? Mine might have a variety of smaller potatoes in it, with a few of the, larger ones too. Mostly run-of-the-mill varieties with perhaps couple more unusual heirloom varieties mixed in. Some that seem to grow larger as time goes on. Some, I imagine, would have gotten pretty fragrant over the intervening time since they made it into my bag. Someone who lied to me when I trusted them. Someone who said something hurtful to get their way. Maybe they may have seemed like smaller potatoes when they happened, but they've grown since in both size and stench. Forgiveness and apologies and regrets are a core part of the grief recovery work that I lead. These are all complex and somewhat squishy topics. First of all, I think of forgiveness as being entirely internal work. Yes, it is about something that someone else may have done, but it's not their potato anymore. In the present, it has nothing to do with them. Forgiveness is a word with many definitions, and it is often misunderstood. It's also something that folks can be reluctant to work with, and we may joke around calling it the F word. I found a definition that has been meaningful to me and to a lot of other folks. Forgiveness means giving up the hope of a different or better yesterday. Giving up the hope of a different or better yesterday. It means giving up the hope that something in the past might change. It means acknowledging the pain in the past and deciding it won't continue to hurt. Giving up the hope of a different or better yesterday. Now, some folks have trouble with even saying this particular F word. So there's an alternative statement that gets to the same sort of sentiment. Instead of, I forgive you for, it's, I acknowledge that you did such and such, and I'm not going to let it hurt me anymore. Now, these sound like they're said to someone else, even though I'm saying that forgiveness is internal work. In the grief work, we phrase them like this, but we don't actually say them to the other person. Instead, we say them aloud to someone else who is simply a listening presence for us, helping us feel like we're heard and offering compassion to us as we're doing the work of letting go. Pain and grudges aren't the only things we let go of either. Regrets are other burdens we may be carrying around. If we were to fill a potato bag with grudges and regrets, sometimes I wonder if the regrets might actually outnumber and outweigh the grudges by a good bit. Regrets, of course, are related to things that we didn't do but wish we had, or things we did do but wish we hadn't. It's the what-ifs and the choices that we may have questioned later on down the line. The related apologies for them, if they relate to someone else, might be for little things, the little potatoes we have in our sacks, or for larger things. Regardless, all of these potatoes, all of these regrets, add up to making Regretville just as bad a place to live as Grudgeville. And there are all sorts of regrets and apologies we might be holding on to. Now, here are a couple examples. Juliet, one person said, I'm sorry for making that obnoxious joke about the music you were listening to on your iPod. Dear sales rep for a textbook distributor, I'm sorry for lying to you on the phone. Or, Dear John Bon Jovi, I'm sorry for throwing empty beer cans on your lawn. Now, these aren't just random apologies, but actually these are ones that were made in a very public format. Author Dave Bry writes an online blog called Public Apology, where he posts apology essays, long ramblings about personal misdoings, both for recent ones like the joke to the iPod listener, and ones for incidents that may have occurred many, many years ago, like he shared the one to the textbook distributor. Some that he shares are Well, he's an author. Some of them are downright hilarious, like the one to a Mrs. Noonan, which says, "Sorry if it seemed like I was trying to see you naked. I wasn't, I swear." And the one to someone named Emily, in which he apologizes for wearing sweatpants on their first dinner date. I'm guessing they didn't have a second. And some of his apology essays reflect on deep learning about his fellow human beings and the impact of his actions on them. Apologies can serve a profound need between human beings. Now, I'm not quite sure if this is what Dave Bry has in mind when posting this for his blog. If he's using the forum to prompt meaningful reflection, or to develop material for his book on the subject, or maybe it's to make himself feel better for our listening to the confessional aspect of his apologies. There is certainly some tongue-in-cheek in some of them, like the one to Bon Jovi where he admits a tiny twinge of guilt, but still continues to make fun of his music. But many of his apologies seem heartfelt and illuminate some of the complex relationships between us humans when he said or did things that he later regretted. Apologies don't always serve profound needs. Sometimes they're just a form of common courtesy and don't go much deeper, but sometimes they are. I'm sorry for taking that money from your wallet, or I'm sorry for not calling you. An apology is based on either a regret or one's sense of harm done to someone else. And they can be profound, especially for the person making the apology. One truly touching apology in this public apology blog, which is the one with the highest count of comments on it, last time I checked, is an apology where he writes, "Dear Jews who may have been sitting near me and my friends in the college dining room, I'm sorry for making anti-Semitic slurs. I didn't know what they meant at the time." What a tremendous weight. Apologies and regrets can be tremendous feeling on us, and what a relief it can be to let them go, setting them down along with our grudges, and moving forward with shoulders held higher than they were before. This past year has been a doozy, and there's a lot I imagine we're sprinting into this new year hoping for in so many ways. But I'd like to invite us to take it a step or two further than that. While you may not be in full-fledged Grudgeville or Regretville, we all may have some burdens that we may be carrying. Grudges and needs for forgiveness, regrets for things we did or did not do. Today, I'd like to invite you to reflect on these things and take some steps in doing the difficult spiritual work of letting them go. It's not easy work, but that makes it all the more worthwhile. Sometime either today or tomorrow, whatever days those are for you when you're listening to this, I'd like to invite you to take some reflection time by yourself. Get some paper and write down some of the grudges or the regrets you may be carrying. Think through the past month, then other times in this past year. Think about things you've been carrying for longer than that. Think about the people in your life and the moments and choices in your life. And not just think about them, I invite you to write these down on your paper. But we're not going to stop there. I'm a big fan of rituals and symbolic actions, which do help us with these things, especially transformational things. So I'd like to suggest two possibilities. Once you've got these down on paper, I'd like to invite you to either one, take your paper and bury it in your yard or in some place that is special to you. Or another possibility, find some running water or an outgoing tide and tear up your paper and scatter it into the water. These are both rituals of letting go. Whether you're letting them go into running, cleansing water, or burying it into the ground where they await transformation into the new growth in the coming year. Take a moment to see the burdens you are carrying for what they are. And then, let's all lay them down and let them go. A whole new year lies ahead for us with its challenges, its possibilities, with its need for us to be all that we can be. Let us make the most of it that we can. Happy New Year and blessed be.
Here in the new year, UUCB continues to need your gifts and support as we commit together to making ours a vibrant, loving community that inspires spiritual growth, social justice work, and lives of integrity and service. We hope you will continue to practice generosity this year, especially with our Good Neighbor organizations. This month, we're sharing half of our offerings with the Social Justice Sewing Academy to support the good work they're doing in our wider community. The Social Justice Sewing Academy is a youth education program that bridges artistic expression with activism to advocate for social justice. Through a series of hands-on workshops in schools, prisons, and community centers across the country, SJSA empowers youth to use textile art as a vehicle for personal transformation and community cohesion, and become agents of social change. For more information and ways to participate, visit sjsacademy.org. Offerings of any value are received with gratitude. More details on how to give electronically will appear on your screen as the offertory begins. Thank you for your generosity.
I wanna feel the world around me whirling by. I wanna cry for those that live and those that die. You sing a lullaby. I wanna cry. I wanna pray that all my wishes could come true after today. And should I put a word in for you, should I say an extra Kyrie? I wanna pray. I wanna lie. I wanna think that things are better than they are. I wanna think we've gotten further, and that far is just an inch away. I wanna lie. A horse with wings. I wanna think of things like that and other things. I want two brothers, one who laughs and one who sings. I hope the future brings a horse with wings. I wanna know the things they told me when pass me by. I wanna fly.
Please join me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. Thank you for joining us, even if virtually, in praise, reflection, and song today. Before we shift to our Zoom coffee hour, I'd like to encourage you to visit our website sometime, UUCB.org, to explore the many activities that are going on throughout our congregation, even during this pandemic. Among other things, you can find a link in News to our 2 email newsletters, the monthly Beacon on the Hill and the weekly The Week Ahead, which are filled with information and have columns by our minister, staff, and lay leadership. As we prepare to leave the worship service, here are 2 announcements. The Literature, Film, and Drama contingent of the Social Justice Council meets at 12:30 today on Zoom to discuss the principles and symbols involved with the 6 days of Kwanzaa. The Zoom link is in the week ahead. And our weekly Wednesday Vespers service returns this Wednesday, January 6th. Social time begins at 6 p.m. The 30-minute service starts at 6:20. The Zoom link is in the week ahead. Now, please join in singing our closing song, I Know I Can. The words will be on screen. Thank you.
Though days be dark with storms, and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. When sorrow heals my soul, and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is here. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song, though troubles wait at every
We go now from this place, hopefully feeling uplifted and a little lighter, having set some of our burdens down. Let us sing the magic of imagination by which we know one another and learn the lives of eras gone by. Let us sing the magic of creation by which we build the world of our soul and teach its wisdom to others. Let us sing the magic of our lives together, holding and shaping by the movement of breath from heart to lung all new life that is to come. Go now with a lightness in your step. Go now with singing. Go now with magic in your every fingertip. Touch this world with life and with love. And as you go, remember, you are never all alone. Blessed be.